Hi, this is Tom Menas, head coach and general manager of the San Antonio Gunslingers. It's about that time of year, recruiting time. Now, for all you that haven't played for us before or played in the Indoor Football League, we're going to be having open tryouts coming up real soon. Make sure to check with our social media. For those of you that do play IFL football, I can't talk to you right now. I can't talk to you until September 15th. That's okay. We're not going anywhere. Feel free to reach out after that date if you have any questions about becoming a gunslinger. Thank you and God bless.
Make it hurt. Let's go.
We continue to look for great organizations and great people, and I think we hit a home run here in San Antonio.
Do everything you need to do to make this football game. Grab his rib and bring him down. And now I can.
Greetings, Gunslinger Posse, and welcome to Branded for August 28th. Let's get that turned off there because that's in the way. And more stuff. Annoying. Just minor technical stuff as we go remote. He's Tom Menas, head coach and general manager of the San Antonio Gunslingers. I'm Ralph Judkins, your host, and welcome to Branded, brought to you by South Texas Spine and Surgical Hospital, as we enjoy the first, I guess, really full week of the offseason, such as it is, going on to the next season. It's recruiting season. Coach, anything you want to say before we get started with the first quarter?
No, just glad to be back and looking forward to a good show.
All right, we'll be back with our first quarter when we return. You're watching Branded, the home edition. We'll be right back.
It's like literally like hockey and football had a baby.
Type of action you'll never see in the NFL.
Let's go, gunslingers. Let's go, baby. Woo! That's the best entertainment there is. Once you've been to a game, you're going to get hooked. dependability. It's expected by our customers, and it's demanded by me. I personally guarantee the certified techs we send to your home and the equipment we install are dependable. John Wayne's American Pride comfort systems are designed specifically for San Antonio's extreme heat and humidity and come with a lifetime warranty. For comfort you can depend on, call John Wayne today.
John Wayne Service Company is a proud sponsor of the San Antonio Gunslingers.
All right, team, huddle up. Just like in surgery, we need precision and teamwork. Trust me, just like on the field, if we stick to the playbook, we'll achieve excellence.
Coach, are you sure about this?
We've trained for this. We're experts. The San Antonio Gunslingers and South Texas Spine and Surgical Hospital and Outpatient Center, where precision meets performance.
16 teams, 134 games, all for this, the culmination of the indoor war, the 2024 IFL National Championship, August 17th, Lee's Family Forum in Henderson, Nevada. Learn more and get your tickets at IFLNationalChampionship.com.
The IFL is where the men become heroes in the end. Are you ready for that? Come on.
Welcome back to Branded as we deal with an out-of-date advertisement. Of course, the championship is long over, but we here at Gunslinger Nation, Tom Menas especially, are getting set to take us back to Vegas and to a championship, and it starts right here, right now. Coach, it has been, as I looked at the calendar, a year more or less, kind of sort of to the day, since you got your first phone call and were in negotiations. Actually, you called them saying, hey, I heard you were talking about me. And you entered into negotiations and subsequently became the head coach. Any hindsight or thoughts on that or epiphany since? Because it's been a year. I mean, you signed with us on the 1st of September.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing has been what a blessing it has been for me and my family. And James and Stephanie and of course Pam and Don, they're like family to me now, regardless, hey, listen, I'm a realist. Okay. And I get being a professional football coach, what that means. And that's win or be gone, but I hope it works out here long-term. I really, really do. There's been places where you go and you're still listening to offers or you're still, kind of answering ads. This is not one of those places. Like, I consider this truly my second home. And, Susan feels the exact same way. So the kids do. I think my staff does. The players do, obviously, to re-sign back 10 starters, and most of them, in my opinion, all first team caliber players. It's just a testament to what we built here. And I want to see this thing run its course because I think there's some really spectacular things yet to come. I really do. And I'll say it again. I'm looking forward to trying to win the championship next year. Not just make the playoffs, but win the championship. And I don't want it to be one. I want to go after multiples, and I want it to be here to do it. Yeah, I've not three-peated, and I want to, that's a high goal.
Right.
But I'll tell you, I think that this team has never done it. Okay. That's a big difference. Like, I know what it feels like to win indoor championships. Some of my staff knows what it feels like. Some players do, but not everybody. And until you learn how to win, you'll never be a champion. You have to learn how to win because there is a formula to winning, and I believe that. I believe you practice hard. I believe you go to meetings with great intent. I believe that you travel well. I believe that you open doors for strangers because it goes to character. I believe all those things. And when we get 25 guys that buy into that completely, man, with our environment, good luck trying to beat us.
Oh, that's the thought, and we talk about the three-peat being the standard. You could win once, and you could be just lucky that year.
Yeah.
2, okay, great, but 3, they have to talk about you. They have to talk about you.
Here's my thing, and it was funny because Miss Susan and I were having dinner. We were having supper a little while ago, and we were talking. And I said, I've got one thing on my mind 24 hours a day. And this is going to sound really crazy. Now, do I want to put a ring on Don's hand? You bet. Do I want to put a ring on James's hand? You bet. Miss Stephanie's? You bet. But I got to get a ring on Pam's hand because she was a huge part in me coming here and her belief in what I was trying to accomplish too. Oh, as well as, of course, Don and them. But I really want to get a ring on all their fingers. Like I said, if we were to do it this year, hell, you can keep my ring. Just give it to them. I don't care. I mean, I want them to really know what that feels like because I can almost tell you, just based on what I know of the character of that group, is that if they win one, they're going to want a bunch more because that signifies that you are the best. And so we'll just keep doing what we're doing. And hopefully everyone's going to get better. I'm going to get better. The team's going to get better. Our operations are going to get better. Our front office is going to get better. Everything about us is going to get better every year. And if you don't strive for that, then shame on you, because I know everyone else around the league is doing that right now, maybe not right now, but, normally we take 2 weeks off after a season and just kind of heal up, and I can honestly say I have not taken a day off at this, and I don't plan on it until next August. And we're going to continue to try to do things. Hell, Jen, our director of sales and marketing, and I were on the phone probably for a good hour talking about when I'm coming back in town, let's go see fans, let's go see sponsors, let's go do the show live someplace, let's have Gunslingers night at different locations. How are we going to treat the fans on the tryout day? We're working on stuff months and months out to make sure we're better than we were last year. And I thought we were pretty damn good last year, but we want to be better than that. And I'm talking about the whole experience for the fans, football, everything. Myself first and foremost to get better. So.
Well, I wanted to tie into what you said. One of the reasons I know the organization brought you here is a young organization. And as you put it quite pointedly, we're paying for your scars. We're paying for your experience. And I wanted to have a little fun tonight with that experience. You taught us a lot of things about travel, buying tickets, the hotel, how to negotiate everything, because we were just learning. I wanted to get into Tales from the Road. You played in the NFL. What are some of the worst experiences, not only in the NFL, but in general? You're smiling already, so I know this is going to be a good topic that you'd want to share with the fans, because for them, it's all glamour and these guys are heroes, and they don't see the locker room and they don't see the buses and they don't see the hotels, the lobbies. Take it away, Coach.
The funny, it's way different now than it was. it really is way different than it was.
So you got to set the stage by telling them the year we're talking here, where these
Yeah,
start.
in the early 80s. We'll just say the early 80s. Okay. So we chartered, so flight was not a big deal, you know. We had our own plane and we would fly to wherever we're going. We'd stay at very nice hotels for the most part. The interesting thing was when you got to the stadiums, how small the visiting locker rooms were and how miserable they were, and how they had the slanted concrete ceilings so you couldn't stand up straight to change, and very prehistoric environment. No air conditioners, you know, wanted you to be as uncomfortable as you can. The worst place, I think, and I share this with people before, the worst place was probably the Raiders. That was probably the most uncomfortable situations to be in because they, the fans at that time, you know, we would come out of what's now the tunnel. When I played, they didn't have a tarp over the top. They just added that over the years because they would pour bodily fluids on us as we were coming out. That was kind of interesting. And you get in a little spiffs with guys in the first and second rows, you know, things like that. The worst one, though, to be honest with you, from a fan perspective that I had ever encountered in my life, was we were playing the BC Lions when I was in Toronto, and their arena was very much set up like the Vikings stadium. And when you went there, and the fans were pretty close, and there was this one section that every time we went there, that these guys were the absolute worst humans on earth. They knew your mom's name. You know, they were ruthless. But you know, I was telling somebody the other day, I say how God blesses us, you know. I don't know if I would have seen all the places I've seen if I didn't play college ball, D1 college ball. I got to see the entire Midwest, the West Coast, the Southeast, South, you know, the East Coast. I got to see it all and got treated exceptional. And then in the NFL, you're just so pampered, you know, when you're in these environments. You think it doesn't get better in college, and then you get there and go, wow, this is way better, you know. And then you go in the CFL, and I talked to friends of mine in Canada who had never been to the places I've been in Canada. You know, one week I'm in Montreal, next week I'm in Calgary, British Columbia, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, Ottawa, you know, and just to be able to go all these different places across North America. And then in the off season, my recruiting went from Yellowknife in the Yukon to the Samoa Islands, you know, to Florida. So I got an opportunity to see so much. It's been, I'll tell you what, if you're going to have a ride, this is the ride to be on, because it's been a real blessing. And it's had its ups and downs. I mean, you know, you have your moments in time where you miss things, right? So I can tell you this. My son was having his confirmation at church, and it was on a Saturday, and we were playing in Milwaukee in the AFL, back in the AFL days, on a Saturday. And so what I did was I didn't fly with the team. I stayed back. We went to the dress rehearsal. I went to the dress rehearsal of it. I talked the priest into making the dress rehearsal for Phil the official confirmation. And jumped out of
So the Saturday was a show confirmation
for everybody else. And then I got him on a plane and we flew to Milwaukee. Yeah. But I mean, you do those
There
kinds
you
of
go.
things because
It's what you had to do.
yeah, and I can't tell you how many things Miss Susan's given up over the years. Just having your husband home. I would watch the weather back here in Michigan. Go, gosh darn it, it's snowing. And I'd call a guy to plow my driveway because I'd normally do that. Or she'd say, no, I already took care of it. She'd get on the tractor and she'd do her thing. It's the people around you that let you do what you do, right?
Yes.
And I bet you Don would say the same thing about Pam, or James would say the same thing about Stephanie. You can't be successful at what you do unless you have that partner who supports you and lets you do it, because you miss so much, and I don't know if people really realize that. It's funny because I get these coaches calling me up and they say, hey, I'm actually getting bombarded with phone calls. And they'll say, hey, I want to come coach for you. I want to be there. I want to help you win a championship. I want this. And they're all great guys. And you just kind of think, okay, let's have a chat. Are you married? Do you have kids? How's that going to work? How's this? How's that? Hey, I've hired coaches before. This is no joke. I hired a coach one time. And just so people know, all the assistant coaches stay at the team hotel where the players stay. They get their own room, of course, and it's nice and all that. But so I call up and I said, hey, is there such and such a player got his whole family in his room? And he says, yeah. He had his wife, his 2 kids, everybody staying in the room. They're going down eating breakfast in the morning, going down, doing all this, staying in our team room. And I went to approach the kid, and he goes, well, the coach does it. And I went, what? And then I went and found out the coach had his wife, his kids staying in his room. And I thought, you got to be kidding me. Well, you know what? And it was pretty defined, but I also understand it. You know what I mean? It's one of those situations where, hell, we don't even allow dogs, because we travel, and then it's who's going to watch your dog and who's going to this. And
Right.
so there's always kinds of things that come up where you find out later, oh yeah, this guy's got a big behemoth dog in his room. What? Well, he worked it out with the hotel. Well, okay, but we don't do that, and that's a separate conversation. But it's things like that you're constantly juggling and all that. Now, as far as we go, though, Ralph, for travel, the way we do it is obviously my right hand, April, when it comes to that, has everything between her and Megan. They got everything pretty much figured out. She'll call me. We'll do that this off season, and she'll say, when do you want to fly in? When do you want to fly out? When do you want to eat? When do you not want, travel, bus, this, that, whatever. And we'll get all that done. So by the time the season starts, we got the whole deal settled. But if anything pops up, we can rely on April and Megan and myself to kind of keep it going in the right direction. So we're pretty lucky that way. And again, it's not a charter. We're on Southwest. God love them. 3 to a row. All monsters. Yeah. And it's not fun. I'll tell you that. There's not a lot of laughing on the plane. There's a lot of just, okay, I'm going to close my eyes and try to get through it.
Yep.
And then we get to the hotels, and for the most part, most of the hotels are nice. One of them wasn't so nice this year. But for the most part, I can honestly say 7 out of the 8 were really nice and good. And then, it's about feeding the guys. Like, where can I get a great meal for them that's somewhat economical, right? Because, again, we're a for-profit business. We're not a nonprofit, even though that's what it feels like a lot. And so you have to constantly be checking places to eat, and you don't want to get into redundancy. So buffets are huge for us. The guys love them. They can get everything from a healthy salad and grilled chicken to wings and fish and chips. You know, it doesn't
Less
matter.
than healthy.
Yeah, and I'm talking about the night before. The day before, the day of, we eat very clean, right? But, you know, you travel for 6 hours. These guys are hungry, you know, and we want to make sure they're taken care of. And we take really good care of the players. And then if there's situations where it's just impossible to feed you, let's say we have a 3-hour layover and we're in an airport, we give stipend money to the players. So then the players have enough money to get a meal, right? And then they'll find a place where they want to go eat and do it on their own. And usually I end up paying for about 19 meals myself.
I was going to say, they're all watching Coach to pull out the card.
Yeah.
When Coach pulls out the card, suddenly
I can't pull out but see, that's the thing. I can't pull out the team card.
Right.
The bad thing is Megan and all of them already know my PIN number and everything else for my card. That's how many times they use it. So I just tell them now, I go, just go to an ATM here. You know the PIN. Go ahead and take out what you need. And that's usually
that's trust. That's trust right there.
But the more coaches you talk to around the league, the more players, the more coaches you'll find do that than don't do that. We love our guys. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We try to be as responsible as we can, and we are, especially with our team's money. But when it comes to our own personal money, we're all pretty generous with the players and the staff if they need anything. So
we kind of ran a little long there, as you may have noticed by the clock. We'll be back with the second quarter and more topics, plays, and games perhaps that have changed or impacted our head coach, Tom Menas. When we return, you are watching Branded Live, the home edition. We'll be right back.
Reputation. It defines us. How we treat the customer contributes to our reputation. It's doing the right thing every time and never cutting corners. John Wayne's customers have rewarded us with over 15,000 five-star reviews and an A+ rating with the BBB. And for that, we thank you. John Wayne Service Company, our reputation is in every truck.
John Wayne Service Company is a proud sponsor of the San Antonio Gunslingers.
It's so easy to love Pick and Pull. Why? How about the largest inventory in South Texas? How about the ease of finding your part with our interchange and real-time inventory search at pickandpullsa.com? How about an organized yard and maps to find your parts, plus a shuttle? At Pick and Pull, we make it easy to save money on the quality used auto parts you need at a price you can afford.
More to pick, less pull from your budget. Now that's Pick and Pull.
For generations, the family recipes at Carrabba's Italian Grill have been bringing people together. From the sweet smell of our scratch-made sauce to our rich layers of lasagna, we believe food made with love leads to tables filled with laughter. Dine with us or order out at Carrabba's.com.
And welcome back to Branded here. It's time to start our second quarter. Coach, go ahead.
Yeah, can I do something? Because this is the first time we got my comments section.
Yeah. Which one did you want to see? I was thinking.
I want to just kind of go down the list here. First of all, missions, guns up, buddy. Ronald Collier, guns up. Arena football statement, guns up. 2025 champs from your mouth to God's ears, Ducon. Kelly Woodward, thank you. Texas Pete, thank you, Coach Menas. We're in. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Icy Tuck, I saw you. I know who you are. Arena football statement, watching you become a full-time cowboy. Hey, this is how I dress at home. So, I'm probably in this stuff more than I'm in anything else, except for church. And they'd probably kick me out. All right. The West was won by gunslingers. History about to repeat itself. Boy, I love that philosophy for sure. Weston's on. He's late to the party, but always glad to have him. Made you tough. Yeah, it did. Okay, this is a cool question. If the NFL played a team from the early 80s, played an NFL team from today, who do you think would win? Okay, so if you used 80s rules, the NFL team today would win. They're just players evolve. They're better. They're faster, bigger, stronger, all that, right? But the 80s team would beat the living shit out of them. Like they would know they're in a game. Like if you did 80s rules where you could hit the quarterbacks, hit the receivers, do all that, the NFL team today would win, but the NFL team of the 80s would let them know they were in a fight. I mean, for sure. I can virtually promise you that. And you'd have every wide receiver and quarterback crying the blues. Hey, look at this. Hello from the Arizona Rattlers Booster Club.
Yeah, I saw that one. We had that up earlier.
We made some great friends with the Arizona people, and I'll tell you what, they're a good bunch.
They had a comment. You were talking about travel on Southwest. They said, "Love to see Mr. Love," that being Harold Love, in the 3 seat.
The worst one ever. So McKinney got the window, I got the aisle, and we're watching the plane. And we're seeing, like, it's down to the last couple people walking in, and they walk to the back of the plane. And we're sitting in the first row. So we're thinking, buddy, we hit the lottery. We can put up the armrest. We can do the lean, the whole bit for 3 hours. I go, and I would always tell Chris, I'd say, Chris, anyone walking back up here? He goes, yep. I go, who? He goes, Lacobe. I went, what? And they put Tucker, 6'9", 330, between me and McKinney for 3.5 hours. And I swear to God, I there was one point I hope the plane crashed. It was the most miserable trip you've ever been on. I mean, it was horrible. And you know what's funny about Lacobe? He never complained. Like, he would never complain. He'd just say, that's the way it is. Or anything we had to do. That I'll always remember that about that kid. He was just so well grounded when it came to that stuff. Okay, so I want to make sure I didn't. Yeah, I think I'm caught. Shelby,
South Texas Ford Truck Mafia, saying hello.
Hi, Shelby. All right, and so good. Yeah. No, I mean it's I love hearing from these people. So that's great.
Well, I'm just glad we can finally get you to see them, so you're not asking me, hey, what have we had by way of comments?
Right.
We know.
Because I'll go back and I'll watch the show at times a day later, and I'll try to see if we can get better, just like watching film. And I'll look at the comments and go, how come Ruff didn't tell me this? How come we didn't ask that question? How much we did, And then it's because I'm usually just going, so I get it. Right. It's not your fault. Yeah. So good. Where were we?
Well, we're going to start the second quarter here with 4th and forever. There are some games, Coach, and there are some plays that will stick with you forever that you remember either as a player or as a coach being there on the field, or maybe even not. One or two that just come to mind that you want to share with us, those moments.
I'll give you a couple. One, first of all great plays that no one would ever believe happen at practice. And they happen every day. Like someone will do something at practice and you just go, can't believe you did that. Darius Prince, one day at practice, we were just doing warm-ups. So the warm-ups for the quarterbacks, couple quarterbacks, they run the sideline to sideline, the receivers. One of the passes will be a high pass. One will be back shoulder. One will be low. One will be, a little too far ahead. Whatever, just to get them warmed up. And I'll never forget this. I think Sam threw it. Actually, it was either Sam or Tommy Grady, and threw the ball. And Prince was running across, and he jumped up in the air, and he caught the ball between his legs with one hand. And I just kind of went, how do you do that? Like, it's not like something you go home and practice.
Right.
That one I'll always kind of remember. I'll always remember Naquan Murray's catch, the cone catch. And Naquan probably did one of those every week at practice too. I'll definitely remember that. When I played, there were two that I remember. One was in college, and one was in the NFL. The one in college was, we were playing Colorado, the Buffaloes, and you talk about environments. College football environments for a visiting team are very unique. It's tamed a lot. I remember coming out in Colorado and getting hit by about 20,000 snowballs when we came out to warm up, because we play them the last game of the year on our schedule, and they would the whole fans would just throw snowballs at us. And when we would play in Nebraska, they'd throw oranges at us because the Orange Bowl. Oh yeah, almost got run over by the Buffalo one time. Oklahoma, the stagecoach just missed us going full speed. Different stuff. Now, in college, we're playing Colorado, and we're on about the 7-yard. Excuse me, we're on about the 7-yard line, going in, and we run a play, and we give Daryl Dickey, who was our quarterback, hands the ball off. Our running back kind of gets to the line of scrimmage, maybe gets a half a yard. They're real heavy in the middle. I get behind my running back, and I just start pushing him in. And him and I went 6 yards, and we scored. And at that point, there was no rule about pushing your player in. This is 1979, 80. And so I pushed him in, and we scored.
There was no helping the runner rule.
And he turns around, he looks at me, and I look at him, and he goes, "Here, spike it." It was like, "Here, go ahead."
How many times does a lineman get to spike a ball?
Right. So that was really cool. Then the other one was, we were playing Iowa State, and we were running a sweep. And I don't know if you've ever heard this expression, but guys are way faster in games than they are in the 40.
Yes.
And I was always pretty fast. That was my thing. I wasn't the biggest or the strongest, but I was really fast as a lineman. And we ran a reverse. And I was playing strong side guard, and I pulled out and went backside to lead the reverse. And I'm running, and I'm flying, because I know our wide receiver's got it. He's a 4'4" kid, right? And he's behind me, and we're running, and it's kind of like, it's the best block I ever had in my life, because it's, if you've seen the Waterboy, when he pulls out that one time and he blocks like 2 or 3 guys, I did that. I actually hit one guy, knocked him down, went to the next guy, hit that guy, went to the next guy, and finished in the end zone, and we scored a touchdown. And I kind of went, "Oh yeah, it was great, blah, blah, blah." But the next day at film was the day I got to see it, and I actually won the game ball for the offense. Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to get it for that game. And so different things like that. In the pros, it was Billy Sims. Now, for those of you who don't know who Billy Sims is, Billy Sims was pre-Barry Sanders for the Lions.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He won the Heisman at Oklahoma. He's from Hooks, Texas. Great guy. He owns Billy's Barbecue. If you ever get a chance, go. He's got great barbecue. And we're at practice, and I wasn't in. I was standing behind the huddle, and they handed him the ball. It was a simple power, or I'd say a wide dive, and they handed him the ball. And he made a cut where I will swear to this day, when he cut, his whole body went from going this way to this way, and you could have put a Dixie cup right here underneath him, and then he went that way and scored for about 50 yards. And that was over 40 years ago, and I remember it like it was yesterday. It was that great. It was that spectacular. So,
and that's why you've said that some of the best football you won't see on game day. You'll see
no,
it
you know, yeah, you'll see it in practice because guys are working on things for game day. You remember the Kobe thing I said? Don't try it unless you've tried it 1,000 times before. So you see some really cool stuff at practice. So
because that's when they're trying things.
Right. Right.
Well, speaking of trying, we're going to be doing a tryout here fairly soon. Wanted to talk about that when we come back with the third quarter in just a moment. You're watching Branded, the home edition. He's Tom Menas, head coach of and general manager of the San Antonio Gunslingers. I am Ralph Judkins, your host. We'll be back in just a moment.
We all need hot water. Some of us need more than others. So it's a good thing that State has a wide range of tough commercial-grade water heaters for your home. From standard models to high-efficiency and tankless models, we've got you covered, no matter where you live, what you do, or who started it. To install a State water heater in your home,
Call John Wayne today or visit us at johnwayne.com.
Welcome to the Vegas.
Must be that time of the year again where we work hard and we play hard and eat good pizza.
Hey gunslingers, come try Matanga's, voted best pizza in San Antonio. We are family and deeply invested in our community. After this game, come find a Matanga's near you. Guns up, slices up.
Welcome to South Texas Spine and Surgical Hospital, an outpatient center. Step into our operating rooms, where highly skilled surgeons work hand in hand with specialized technicians. Our dedicated team has extensive expertise in spine and surgical procedures. Our commitment to patient safety is unwavering. We understand that your well-being is at the heart of everything we do. South Texas Spine and Surgical Hospital, an outpatient center where expertise, longevity, and state-of-the-art technology come together for your health.
And welcome back to the third quarter of Branded. Now, you probably saw, Coach, during the break, Texas Pete asked a question I know the answer to, but you can go ahead.
Tell him.
Well, as far as where did Coach play? Coach played for Kansas. He played for Kansas State.
What? Kansas State.
Yes.
Be
Kansas
careful.
State. Yeah, there is a difference between Kansas and Kansas State.
You remember, you don't know this, but like Kansas, I'll actually post a picture someone just sent me, and it is hilarious. We're playing Kansas, and there's an old saying, like, if you go to Kansas State, it's Rock Chalk Chicken Hawk.
Yeah.
FKU, okay? And then they have slogans on us, too, and it's kind of like Michigan State, Auburn, Alabama. It's that rivalry, right? So we had anyway, the guy sent me a picture, and it's hilarious. And I'm going to post it because it's just so funny. Our tight end had just scored, and we were playing in Kansas, and we were just beating the tar out of them, which was a big game for us. And at their place, and I don't know if it was a screen or just a little out, and then I kind of went up the second level, and I was blocking the linebacker, and then he took off, and we ended up in the end zone at the same time. Anyway, I jump up. And I was number 78. And I jump up, and I got my hands on his shoulder pads, and when you see the picture, I had some verts, man. I could jump. I was over his head. I was like, and he was probably 6'3", and I was just like way up there. And I showed it to my wife, and she goes, "Yeah, that ain't you." It's me. Now I can't jump out of my own way. But back then, yeah, it was funny. It's a good picture though, and it's funny how those pop up here and there. So
I was quickly trying to find the picture because I know we have that. I've seen the image. I just don't exactly.
Oh, it's all right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yeah,
big deal.
It looks kind of black and white, and yeah, and you're way the heck up there.
Yeah,
Texas
it was
Pete
in the newspaper.
comments. Yeah, Texas Pete says next show, coach should show pictures of his playing days.
Hmm. Hey,
Gotta
you got to
find-
remember something. A lot of times people think, like I'll periodically come up with stuff. My son has called me. Phil's called me. He goes, "Hey, your football card's on eBay." I go, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, there's a football card of you on eBay." And I said, "Well, buy it." He goes, "No, someone already bought it." And I said, "No kidding." I go, "What'd they pay for it?" And I'm thinking, $20. And I said, "Oh man, $20. Wow, that's pretty good for an old fat lineman. That was good, right?" And then, when I'm doing that, and then I'll say, I'm feeling good about it. And then I'll look at somebody else's and, they're getting $3,000. And I'm thinking, yeah, $20. I was really hot shit back then, wasn't I? No. But the thing about it is, back then, we didn't put, you got to remember, there wasn't internet, there wasn't social media, there wasn't any of that stuff. You really played for your hometown paper, is how it pretty much worked out. Your hometown paper was even at Kansas State, even the Lions, it was all the Detroit Free Press and the Detroit News. And they did this big article on me one time, the Detroit News did, when I signed with Detroit. And it said something, they came and they were watching us in OTAs, workouts. And we had some aerobics instructor who was keeping us in shape. Oh, it was brutal. She'd have us in this room for 3 hours and just kick our butts. And then we used to have to run the Silverdome, the stairs, all the stairs in the Silverdome, lower level. Oh, yeah, it was. And then one day you'd do that twice a week, and the other 2 days a week you'd run the mezzanine, which was 2 laps was a mile. And I mean, it was, and you just run them, just keep running and lifting and doing all this. And we had a racquetball court back in the day inside the Silverdome for the players, right? And back then, racquetball was a really big deal.
Big thing. Yep.
Right. And the way we used it was, if someone had a beef with you, the two of you went in the racquetball court. You closed the door, and you just worked it out. And I was in there a couple times, and
bring a mop and a bucket and a couple towels, and
yeah, you go until it's done, and then when it's done, you forget about it and you move on. There's a huge difference though in the culture. In I think probably the thing that's been the greatest attribute. I don't know if I ever told this, but I had a friend of mine who was in the process of buying an NHL team, hockey team, and this is years ago. And we were probably another 30 miles north of where I live now at his office. And there was no internet. Like, there was no cell phones were just starting, to get. I had a cell phone that I had to carry in a bag.
Yes.
And then I had the big Gordon Gekko one, the huge one that you put up to your.
Yep. The brick.
And then the internet came out. And we were in his, actually, this is going to sound corny, but we were in his limo. And we were driving to a meeting, and he wanted me to go with him. And he said, "Hey, I just got this thing, and it's called email. And they're starting this internet thing." And I said, "I don't know what that's about." And he said, "Oh, you can find out everything, and you can this, and you can." Back then, it wasn't as great as it is now. But he said, he looked at me square in the eye, and he said, "This is either the biggest blessing from God or it's the devil."
And he was right.
And he was right. And the thing about it was, how profound was that 40 years ago, 35 years ago? And that's kind of what I think about, like, posting. I hate the past. Like, I don't like talking about when I played. I don't like talking about where I've coached. I don't like talking about that stuff. I want to talk about the present now, because to a young kid, and I had a coach, this is no joke. We were driving a 45-minute bus ride to a practice field when I was in New York, and I had a coach literally put on his college highlight film. And I hit the button and I shut it off. I said, this is not about us. This is about them. It's a player's game. Okay. Look, I think I'm a pretty decent coach. All right. I've had some success. But I'll tell you what, I couldn't do anything without the players I've had. Right. And the players are the ones that should get all the attention. They should get all the love. They should get all that. Now, from a sponsorship standpoint, if they ever need me to do stuff, if they never need me to be the tip of the spear on things, I'm happy to do it. In the present, I don't like talking about the past, because it's done, it's gone, it's buried. Enjoy it. Make new memories every year, and I tell my kids that too. Do you remember when? Who cares? I mean, unless it was a family vacation or something like that,
right.
Who cares? Oh, I hit 3 home runs in that game. Good for you. How much you hit last week? None. I don't play anymore. Well, there you go. So it's kind of like, and I don't want to be a hard ass about it, but people do that.
Save it for old timers night. I mean,
God. Hey, listen, you want to fight? I'll fight you. You want to, we got a player on the team. He's a jiu-jitsu guy and I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. And I say, hey, anytime you want to spar, and we always talk about, we're going to get together and spar, right? I'll do that stuff. I don't care if I get my butt kicked, but if I win, you're screwed. I'm 65. You're 21. Right?
You got to live with that forever.
I just ordered this shirt. I'm going to wear it the first day of camp. I'll fight you if I want to, but when I get tired, I'm just going to shoot you.
That's a very, very Texan thing to say. And a great tie-in to what we wanted to talk about. I actually, Coach, want to break to play the video again, just because when we started, I don't think everyone was here. Our full audience is here right now. Would that be okay to run that one more time?
Yeah.
And then
Buddy,
we come back.
I just hang out here on Wednesdays.
Yeah, and then we're going to talk about what if you are a prospect thinking about coming to this, what do you need to bring to this game? How do you need to be prepared? We'll take the mini break here and watch the feature one more time.
Hi, this is Tom Menas, head coach and general manager of the San Antonio Gunslingers. It's about that time of year, recruiting time. Now, for all you that haven't played for us before or played in the Indoor Football League, we're going to be having open tryouts coming up real soon. Make sure to check with their social media. For those of you that do play IFL football, I can't talk to you right now. I can't talk to you until September 15th. That's okay. We're not going anywhere. Feel free to reach out after that date if you have any questions about becoming a gunslinger. Thank you and God bless.
Take it, Kurt. Let's go.
We continue to look for great organizations and great people, and I think we hit a home run here in San Antonio.
everything you need to do to make this football game. Grab his trip and bring him down, and now I can.
And that is our little miniature featurette on on the tryout coming up. And coach, so the question is, for any potential prospects that want to come out to this tryout, what do you expect of them beyond what, I mean, obviously we have in writing here, which is that you're going to, you need to bring turf footwear. Beyond that, there's got to be a bit more than just turf footwear.
Well, rarely in life do you get the opportunity to prepare for greatness. Okay. You usually put on the spot to be great at a specific moment in time, right? Car turns over, it's in a ditch. You run to the aid of the person. You're having an opportunity to be great, right? And do the right thing and be a hero and all that good stuff. As an athlete, as a soldier, as a first responder, you get the opportunity to prepare for greatness. Okay. You get the opportunity to train, to hone your skills, to do everything you need to do. I have a friend of mine who was a Navy SEAL for a bunch of years. And I used to ask him, what's an average day like for you? And he goes, well, I might go on 8 missions a year. I go, well, what do you do with all that downtime? He goes, we train. Like one day might be take apart a Hummer and put it back together. One might be, high mountain rescue. One might be going to a winter environment and practicing survival skills. Just all the different things that you need to do. So when that moment in time comes, and it's crazy because I can tell you in my life, all the very crazy, miraculous, special things happen in a very short time period, right? Everything from a minute or less to maybe 5 hours or less, right? And when you have an opportunity, September, October, and half of November, to prepare yourself for that one moment in time, if you don't take advantage of it, you got problems. You're not going to make the team. Well, because for a couple of reasons. Physically, you won't be able to do it. That's one. And two is mentally, you won't be able to prepare yourself for that stage, which you have to. So you have to put yourself in those positions hundreds and hundreds of times between now and then in order to be successful. I hear people say, well, that guy's a great athlete. What God-given ability does he have? Right?
Oh,
and that just always makes me think, I get genetics. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But I've seen people with zero genetics achieve a lot and be extremely successful just based on hard work. Hey, look, I was never the best lineman. I was never the best linebacker. I was never the absolute best, basketball player. I was never the best track guy. I was never the best tennis guy, golfer. You can go on and on and on. But I competed, man, and I won more than I lost. Okay. And that's because I just plain outwork people. And I'm a firm believer, if you're just willing to outwork people and do that, you've got the best opportunity in the world to be successful. So I guess the best way to put it is put a little post-it on your mirror and just say no excuses. And then the second one, which I always talk about, is be the best version of you on that day. Don't come up with excuses. Don't get off the couch and then pull your hamstring in the 40 and then say, Coach, but I pulled my hamstring. And I'm going to look at you and go, because you didn't train or you didn't stretch and you didn't prepare properly. Okay? And have a good trip home. Enjoy your lunch that we're providing, and we'll see you. Okay? Because at the end of the day, guys, it doesn't matter how nice a guy you are. You got to be that special athlete to be a pro football player. And with us, it's even harder because you got to be the special guy who can play pro football, and you got to be a good guy.
Right.
So,
because there are many levels to making this team.
Last year, we had a kid come up to me at the trial camp, and he goes, "Hey, bro, I got a question for you." I looked at him, I said, "What'd you call me?" He said, "I called you bro." He goes, "I'm sorry, dude." And I just said to him, I go, "You might as well just pack your stuff now." Because I went like that and took him right off the list. Because you got to have common sense, okay?
Right.
And here's the thing. The reason I have admiration for high school football coaches is they get those guys that are saying bro and dude and all that, and they've got to teach them how to be better young men, right? And then when you get them in college, now it's your job to refine that, what the high school coach did, and really make them stellar people and stellar athletes and all that. By the time you get to the pros, you're either that or you're not that. It's not my job to make you a better man. And it's sure not my job to make you a better athlete. You're either a good athlete or you're a marginal athlete or you're a bad athlete. So self-awareness is probably a big thing. But I'll tell guys that maybe don't run the best 40 and don't run, catch every single pass or have a tendency to fumble 1 out of 7 times. I can fix that. Okay. If you're willing to work hard enough and do that. There's a great line. Saban was talking to the coach of the Chicago Bears in Hard Knocks. I don't know. I'm sure our fans watch Hard Knocks on HBO. And he was talking to him about quarterbacks because they got number 18, Caleb from USC. And he said, most guys you get aren't like what people think and say, oh, this guy's great. No, he's this unbelievable guy. You make them that way. Do you think Brady was that guy when he came in? Or do you think Belichick made him that way? Right? All the quarterbacks that have gone through Alabama, do you think that happens by accident? Yeah, they have great talent coming in, but they weren't, oh my God, first-round draft choices, with that skill set that they ended their careers with or are continuing their careers with. So I think you can always get better. That goes for players, coaches, admins, front office people, salespeople, fans, people at home that are never going to be involved in pro sports, but just are good parents. I think that's all part of it. You got to strive to get better every day and just challenge yourself tomorrow to be a better version of you than you were yesterday. That's why I don't like yesterdays. Because if you rely on yesterdays to live forward, it's going to run out.
And it's all about we'd mentioned Kobe Bryant earlier. That was one of his things, always to get a little better every single day. That every day push yourself in some measurable way.
Well, I think the one of the things that always struck me is what my dad told me. He said, "I'm not going to leave you millions of dollars. I'm not going to leave you, necessarily the house. I'm not going to leave you the cars. I'm not going to leave you that because your mom, my mom would obviously, and I have a brother, but what I am going to leave you that is only yours is your name and what you do with it." And I've screwed it up at times, and I make amends to try to get it better. And I've said the wrong thing when I shouldn't have said the right, should have said the right thing. And I've made lots of mistakes, and I'm a Christian who sinned more than I want to admit and ask God every day for forgiveness. But in the same picture, if you ain't trying to keep that name right, whether you end up being a Hall of Fame coach, player, whatever, you could just be a great dad, like my dad was. And my dad was not only he is the greatest man I've ever known, and he's my hero forever. And so and he never played one down of football. And, but he worked and he provided and he loved and he spent time. And I know there were days he didn't want to throw the ball with me, and he did anyway. And I know there were days when we probably didn't have the money, but he bought me the best cleats I could get. And, it's just the way we grew up. So I'm not trying to be corny, but that's how you prepare yourself for a tryout. Okay. It's not going to happen the 22nd on the 23rd. You've got to start preparing now and just be driven to the point that it happens. And hey, here's the other thing, guys. I might say no. That doesn't mean because I said no, it came from above. Okay. Go try again and go try again and go try again. What do they say? Michael Jordan got cut off his 9th grade basketball team.
True story.
He didn't quit, right? They asked Babe Ruth, who led the league in strikeouts, and he said, I do. Yep. Oh, and also in home runs, right? So I think you got to take your swings, right? You got to give it your best. Be smart enough to come in and not be, if you're a big guy, don't have your belly hanging over your pants. And if you're a little guy, don't try to overinflate yourself. Be who you are, okay? But be the best version of you. And if you need to have the 23rd as a goal date, then use it as a goal date. Make it something special for you. And use it for parts of your life that you wouldn't have just thought of, not just football. And don't call me dude.
Lesson learned. Everyone has been warned.
Yeah.
Don't call him dude. Don't call him bro. That's Coach. He doesn't like the others. Well, you ready to push on to our fourth quarter? We're going to talk about free agency updates.
Yeah, and one real quick question. I want to see. Someone asked college football predictions.
Oh, okay. Yep, that's Chris Weiss.
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you what. I'm kind of rooting for Texas this year. Not because I'm here in Texas, but because I like Texas, and I think that they're due. And, of course, Alabama's probably my favorite, but I got to get used to not having Saban there. So I don't know how that's going to go because huge fan of his. There was one other one. What is this from Texas Pete, this last one? For when a time comes.
Oh, yeah. He was talking about being ready. You talked about individuals. They're just thrust into circumstances to be great. Whereas a professional warrior, a soldier, police, etc., train for that opportunity. He basically saying for a time comes when you need someone to save you and you realize you're the person who's going to have to do the saving.
I couldn't have said it better. It's one of the truest statements that you can ever have because I've learned to not ask for the cavalry. Like anything to do with my job and or something that's going to require great effort for great success, I don't ask for a lot of help. I expect everyone to do their jobs, but I plan on working my share of that. Now, Miss Susan will tell you that I ask for help all the time at home, because I'll open the fridge up and spend 20 minutes there looking for the ketchup and say, "Where's the ketchup?"
Honey,
And
where's
she'll
the
walk
ketchup?
by and she'll go, "It's right there, you idiot." And she'll hand it to me. But when it comes to stuff on a bigger scale, like preparing the football team, recruiting, doing my GM duties, those things, I listen. I take as much information as I can, and then I just try to. I always assume if I was the only guy on my staff, could I still do this? If I was the only guy in the woods, could I do this? If I was the only guy, in a situation that required a cavalry, if you will, could I do this? And I kind of try to prepare myself as best I can for those moments. I know I'll fall short, but they're going to know I was there. So it's just one of those deals where I think you can never be prepared for those moments in life, but you can sure prepare for a dated moment where you have to perform. That's why we have MEPS, right? For the military. We want to see you go through your process and how you process things before we send you off to boot camp or before we send you someplace. And so that's an integral part of getting you right and showing you how to prepare. How many pull-ups you got to do? What's the minimum mile time? What's the this? What's the that? You know all that going in. And yet guys will still not train and just think, hey, I was a good high school football player. I can go through this. So,
Well, yeah, you can, but you're not going to get selected.
Right. Or you're not going to be prepared for that aha moment. Right?
And I got to tell you, folks, players that are interested in this will be the third tryout I've seen. I don't have a lot of pro experience. This isn't at all about me. At some point during the tryout, every single player at some point gets exposed in some way. They have an opportunity to look good, or they get shown to not be all that. And you've got to push through that moment. You can't let that moment define the rest of your tryout. Because, as Coach said, it may be something that the coaches know how to fix, but they're not going to be able to fix character. They're not going to be able to fix dedication and the condition. Be the best you, show up, be as advertised. As Coach has said multiple times, you're the one that determines whether you make this team. You have got to give the coach every reason to not cut you, that he has to have you on the team. You make that case, your chances get a lot better.
Remember, okay, so last year's tryout, we had a kid by the name of Robert Fuentes.
Yes.
Okay. And Robert was living in Oklahoma, and he was a roofer. He had played college ball, had been out for a minute, and he was a college roofer, and he came to the tryout. And we have stations set up all around where you have to show your skills, get time, do whatever. And we got to the 40, and I was by the 40, and I was the starter for the 40. And this kid, he's 6'4", 6'5", 240 pounds, good-looking kid, well-built. Hell, he's been roofing all summer in Oklahoma. You know he was in shape. And he runs his first 40, and I go, time. Okay, 4.57. He came running back because you get to run two. And he was hooping and hollering down there, and he's walking. I met him halfway. I said, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. You ran a 40-yard dash. What are you hooping and hollering about? I said, now do it again and be in the 4.5s, and we'll have another discussion. Yes, sir. Sorry about that, sir. I was just excited. I said, why, is that the first time you ran 4.5? He says, no. I said, then act like you've been here before. So he gets on the line, and he runs it again. Time, 4.55. I said, come on back down here. Now I'm going to see if you can run it 3 times in a row, which is hard enough to do. Comes back down. I said, see what you got. He runs it again. I just put my clipboard down. I go, sign him. Get him a contract. He ran 4.53. He got better every time. And he didn't hoop and holler. And the last 2, And he came up to me and goes, "Oh, thanks, Coach. I really appreciate it." I said, "I'll cut your ass as fast as I'll sign you if you don't live up to the expectation you set for yourself now." Right? So getting invited to the dinner is one thing. Getting a seat at the table is another thing. Okay? So it's your entire body of work. Get your foot in the door. That's what the tryout's for. And then you got until from November 23rd until March 1st to bust your ass and be the best version of you again. Then you get 2 weeks of camp to be the best version of you. Then you get 16 games to be the best version of you. Then you get playoffs and championships to be the best version of you. So anytime you stop trying to be the best version of you, you're going to get cut. You're going to get fired. You're going to get moved on, right? So I just want the guys to know that it's different in pro football. Okay, it's just different. And that's the reality of it, you know. So anyway, that's where we're at.
And we'll come back with our fourth quarter when we return. You're watching Branded, brought to you by South Texas Spine and Surgical Hospital, a tradition of excellence and a legacy of caring. This is Branded. We'll be right back.
Quality. Here at John Wayne, it's not just a word, it's our foundation. From the people we employ, to the service that's provided, to the equipment that we design and install, quality matters. For nearly 20 years, providing quality Texas comfort to the San Antonio area communities has been our highest priority. For quality you can count on, call John Wayne today.
John Wayne Service Company is a proud sponsor of the San Antonio Gunslingers.
Hey, what can I say? Comes with the job. 1 minute I'm making a one-hand catch on the sideline. Next minute it's lights out and I'm on the sideline. And that's why I like Complete Care, because they're fast, just like me. They have ultrasound, CAT scan, X-ray, and even on-site lab. So if you get sidelined, know where to go. Complete Care, official sponsor of the San Antonio Gunslingers.
And welcome back to Branded for our fourth quarter with head coach and general manager of the San Antonio Gunslingers, Tom Menas. I'm Ralph Judkins, your host. Branded, brought to you by South Texas Spine and Surgical Hospital. So this quarter, the big thing that everyone's been waiting for, updates on free agency. What news do we have this week? Well, actually, we can't really say much at this point because there are certain deadlines in play. I guess it'd be a good idea to remind the fans why we can't tell them everything right now because, well, there's conversations that cannot be had yet.
No, you're not allowed to talk to current restricted free agents. That's players that have been finished the season on IFL teams. Their contract technically doesn't expire until, I guess, October 1st, where they can re-sign a new contract. You can start speaking to those players on September 15th. Now, I will say this. If you have not played in the IFL if you have played college ball or you're in college and you're a senior, if you've played in other leagues, CFL, NFL, NAL, okay, UFL, any of those, you can call me. You can reach out to me. The best way to reach out to me is probably on Messenger on Facebook. That's the easiest right now, because then once we start that dialogue, I'll give you my email, give you my phone number. We can have conversations. If you're under a current contract and you want to come and play for me in San Antonio, just shut your phone off and don't turn it on until September 15th. And then when you wake up, hit coach and just call me. And we'll have that conversation on September 15th. I know somebody asked a question, what's the status of the quarterback? I will repeat, I'm not announcing a quarterback until October. And I will not do that. So I'm going to make sure that everyone understands that's something that we can do. And we're looking and exploring every option that we have available to us. So if you look at who we re-signed, okay, currently, let's see if I can remember this. Clifton Duck, Jermon Wiley on defense. Offensively, Naquan Murray, DJ Myers, Austin Upshaw, Kali Rashad, Harper, running back, Caldwell, quarterback, Harvey, and Hardy. So pretty much your entire starting offense is back for the most part. And then as far as the quarterback position goes, someone who either has been here or someone who fits the mold of what we're looking for with the skill set is going to be our QB1 that we'll announce sometime in October. Okay. I shouldn't say QB1 because we want to keep competition relative. But a name that you are familiar with will be our quarterback. I'm pretty confident in 2025.
Checks with a wild suggestion saying Zapp was just released from the Patriots. Maybe he's looking for a team.
I'm not saying anything.
Because you just don't know.
Hey, listen, if I'd have told you who I was going to bring in to Albany.
Right. For that week.
The guy started for the Oakland Raiders. Okay. So I've had conversations with some unbelievable players. Somebody asked a question, who's my favorite player of all time? Right.
Well, player that you coach. That was another
that's easy slam dunk. Who's it from? Krish?
It's from Krish, yeah.
Okay, Krish, that's the easiest one in the world. I was coaching Pee Wee football, and this kid was like 8 years old, and he was a pre-B. And when he was born, he weighed less than a pound, and he was always really small in stature. And he played running back and linebacker for me, outside linebacker for me. And I had so much fun with this kid. I mean, this kid was just like, you could tell God touched him, right? And then years and years and years later, I'm walking out of a restaurant and I get a tap on my shoulder and he goes, Coach, and this kid's like 6'4", 245 starting at Notre Dame.
Wow.
And I'm just like, thank you, God. And so you get those moments as a coach. So many talented players have come through and have blessed me with their work. But again, let's not move too far in the past. let's talk about the present. I mean, the guys I just named off to you are all unbelievable football players, and any team in the country would give their right arm to have them, and they want to play for you, Gunslingers. So we're really blessed there. Our defense, I will tell you this straight up, is going to be damn good this year. And one of the reasons that if you look at how I signed people, I concentrated heavily on the offense again, because we had the number one offense, and we will continue to have a number one offense. But now I want to bring that defense up to the same caliber. Hell, if we were just half as good as our offense last year, we don't want the damn thing. Okay. There's a much bigger learning curve for a defensive player in indoor football. And so we're spending an exorbitant amount of time and energy and effort into that. And so you great IFL defensive football players, come on in and let's do this together, because I'm going to get the points on the board for you and you're going to keep the points off the board. So.
And related to that question, Texas Pete asks a question we've seen before, and I know you know the answer, but it bears repeating. That pesky veteran rule. What are the veteran rules for 2025, if it's even changed, and how is a veteran defined in the IFL?
So it sucks. It's just so wrong. It's just a bad rule. You get 7 veterans on your football team at any given time. The only time that a veteran does not count on your roster is if he's on injured reserve. So if you had a vet playing, let's say, defensive back, and he got injured, you put him on IR and you bring in another vet that can start, then you're still under the 7 rule active roster, even though you have technically 8 veterans hanging around. Okay. Vet status is defined as if a player has played more than 3 years, this would be his 4th year, he is defined as a veteran in indoor football. And indoor football is dictated by not just the IFL, it's dictated by every other indoor football league. So if you played in the CIF for a year and you played 2 years in the, in the NAL, and then you come to us and you're in your 4th year, you're a vet. The other way is if you turn, I want to say it's 27, if you're up to 27 years old or your birth date is before the start of the season and you turn 28, you're considered a vet. If your birthday comes after the season, or I think it's even during the season, you're still considered not a vet. So you can have only played 1 year. Let's say you're in the military, you went to college, you did military service, and you came out and you're 27, 28 years old. You can't play as a rookie. You'd be considered a vet just based on your age. And again, I will say this. The reason it's not a good rule is that you do not get the opportunity to build a franchise of any historic value. Then you'll get the coaches that'll say, or the owners that'll say, yeah, well, if you're a good enough coach, you can get new talent every year. And that's true. You can. But you're not getting the best talent every year, because the reason it's rare to see freshmen starting in college is because they haven't been seasoned to that style of play. But the reason you see when you hear a team say they have 8 returning seniors, and that's a great thing, is because that would be like having 8 vets on your team, right? So the same thing's true with the NFL. The NFL doesn't have any hard, steadfast rules on age and all that. I'm just surprised no one's ever filed an age discrimination case. But anyway, that's another story. I just think that it's odd that you don't want that maturity in your locker room. You don't want that maturity on the field. You don't want that skill set. So what's happening is, let's say we get a great kid comes in and he's a rookie, and he's a Kali Rashad.
Okay.
He's a hometown favorite. He lives in town. He's great for the community. He's great this, great that. And he comes in his first year and we got him. Great. Second year, great. Fans love him. Third year, great. We're winning with him. He's loving it. Fourth year, great. Fifth year, wait, I got a bunch of vets that I need to have on the O-line, or I've got a bunch of vets I need to have in the DBs, or I got, my quarterback's a vet, and this is a vet. Now all of a sudden you're looking at scenarios where,
can you keep them?
I can't.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're a vet and you're on our roster, you're pretty damn good. And if you're not a vet and you're on a roster this year, you're going to have 1 or 2 or 3 years experience, because this whole idea of bringing in babies every time, I ain't buying that.
And it's really hard. It's really hard in this game because it is not like the outdoor game. You have these walls, you have this field, 8-man football. It is very, very different. Run, block, tackle, okay, but maybe not even.
There was a quarterback I had, and how can I put this? Okay, I'll just tell it. Quarterback I had in Albany when I went back for round 3, the AB, right? And when it got bad. When it got bad and I decided to resign, he left when I left.
Right.
But before he left, I got him a job as the starting QB on an IFL team. And guys, just so you know, and you can take this for what it's worth, if you're a good guy and I ever release you, I always try to have a plan B set up for you already. You can take it or don't take it, but I'll try my best to have another job waiting for you. So anyway, he goes to this IFL team. This is like an MVP guy, quarterback. And they put up billboards in town, and they're loving them, and they're selling his jerseys in the store, and they can't wait for him to get there. And he plays one game, and he plays horrible. The next week, he quit. And I said, what happened? He said, man, they got 4 DBs and 2 high motions and this going on and that going on. And this is an indoor football veteran. The rules are so different in the IFL. And the innovation, these offense coordinators and coaches are great in the IFL with the innovation that they do and the changing of things and how it's always evolving. And it was just too much. And then he ended up going to an AFL team because he wanted to go back to the old rules, and had good success again, So that's what I'm saying. You took a guy who was an MVP quarterback in indoor, put him in IFL, and he couldn't do it. And then Sam was an exception last year. And Sam struggled at times too, with reading coverages. So it's just it's a different thing, but we relied on Sam's athletic ability that got him out of a lot of jams when it came time to reading defenses and having that free linebacker rush. That's another thing you got to get used to. That's why I was really impressed with Snead. He would stand right in there, man. The guy's coming straight at him, and he'd stand right in there and throw the ball and take a smack right in the mouth, pop right back up. Let's go. Tough kid.
Yeah, that's what he did last year in Bay Area. That made him phenomenal, and Rattlers picked him up, and a heck of a season they had.
Yeah.
Before we close this one out, we were going to bring back a feature, something that has been on your mind a bit this week. Burr underneath the saddle. We haven't done this in the fourth quarter.
Do you want to do the apology before I do it?
Well, I don't know if we're going to apologize ever for how we feel about this. And
I was just thinking, I don't want to bore the people that are still with us, and This is a non-football topic, so if you'll bear with me for 30 seconds. So I was, like all of you, I'm getting inundated every day with ads, political ads. And one of the things that came up, and I was happened to have my grandson sitting on my lap when it came up, and it was Kamala Harris saying that if you're not careful, Donald Trump is going to take away abortion and he's going to ban it in all 50 states. And I thought to myself, yeah, good, right? And while I'm hugging my grandson, mind you. So when he left and the dust settled, I started doing a little research. And I said, how many abortions were there last year? 1,026,000 something, crazy number. And I thought, oh my God, that's in 1 year. And that's after Roe versus Wade got overturned. So I went a little deeper and I said, since Roe versus Wade was passed, how many abortions have there been? People, 63 million abortions. We get bent out of shape, and rightfully so, when we lose 2 soldiers, a family in a car wreck, 9/11, Benghazi, Afghanistan. 63 million people. We make Hitler look like he didn't do anything when you're throwing numbers like 63 million. And I didn't mean that literally. He's the devil reincarnated. I'm saying, though, that if he was that evil and we do the numbers we do here, we wiped out generations. We wiped out the next Thomas Edison, the next George Washington, the next Martin Luther King. We've wiped out the potential, the next Billy Graham. These are people we will never, ever see because they weren't never given the opportunity. Now, am I for women's rights? 100%. Responsible women. Homicidal women? No. If you're going to have a choice, if you're going to have to make a choice, I can tell you there's so many families that want children right now. And if you don't want to go through the inconvenience of carrying a child for 9 months and you'd rather murder them, go ahead. I'll tell you what, people, forget inflation, forget unemployment numbers, forget all that stuff. 63 million babies were murdered. 1 million of those babies were murdered last year. Another, I'll bet it's even going to be 2 million next year with the way it's going. We need to stop this. We still need to stop this. And I pray that, you know, I hope Donald Trump wins and the first thing he does is puts it back in place. Now, if it comes between the choice between the mother dying and the delivery of the baby, I understand. I understand that. That would be a choice that only God could make. I couldn't make that choice. But I understand that choice. You're going to say, well, what about rape? Well, it's not the baby's fault that you were raped, and it's not your fault that you were raped. But you can still do the humane thing and the right thing and have the child. What about birth defects? Yeah, what about them? I'm sorry. That's not an excuse. Yeah, will it be harder? Yeah. It's hard being a parent. It'd be twice as hard being a parent to a handicapped child. So what? You know, yeah, there was some commercial that came on for one of these shows that where they always, you know, like Bachelorette or whatever. And they were interviewing one of the girls, and she was crying. She said, "You had an abortion?" She said, "Yeah, last year." And she goes, "2 of them." She goes, "What do you mean 2 of them?" She goes, "I aborted twins." And the girl behind her goes, "Oh, so double homicide." And I thought, good for you. Good for you. You know, you want to fit in your bikini to be on the show, right? So, listen, I know that rubs people the wrong way. I really don't care. Like I said, don't worry about burning the bridge, blow it up. It's more important that we get the message out, and as Christians and as good people, that we continue to give the message as often and as important as it is for not only for the people that are here, but the people that have never been given the opportunity to be born into this world. So that's my burr.
There you go. And that's a big one. And yeah, it's an important one. It's an important one. When we look at the numbers historically, Joseph Stalin starving the kulaks, Mao Zedong in China with a great leap forward, Pol Pot in Cambodia. These numbers dwarf all of them, folks.
What did they say? What did, you're a historian, like I love history. Genghis Khan, right, was like the most brutal killer of people forever, right?
Right. But then again, he covered a lot of real estate too.
He did the entire European empire, right? I mean, that was like where he was. And I think this is still a bigger number than his.
Yes. Yes. And we pretty much only have estimates on that. This one is, we know. We can count it.
And they're taking, and Ralph, they're this Planned Parenthood. This is how dumb I am. I was never a very sophisticated kid growing up. I really wasn't. I think I had my first beer when I was 18 in Kansas, when it was legal. Okay. I wasn't a big partier. I didn't do all this. And you'd hear about this Planned Parenthood and this plan this and plan that. And I always thought Planned Parenthood is where they would have families come in and talk about having a family. That's what I thought, planning for parenthood. I had no idea, right? So the more research I did and finding out that they're selling these aborted babies' body parts on the market, I mean, this is like a cash grab of misery. Man, I'll tell you what, we got to put a stop to it. We've got to put a stop to it. We got to go back to, you know, what's funny, in 2008, remember when we had the recession of 2008, right. People were losing their homes and everything. And it was really funny because it was a great time. And the reason it was a great time was that they would go ahead and I saw families now, instead of going on vacation, buy the little pop-up pools for their backyard. And instead of going out to dinner, they were having barbecues at the house.
The staycation.
Yeah, but they were spending family time together. They gave up a lot of the peripheral stuff, right? I would love that with a good economy, but I don't know if we're self-aware enough to be that way, right? But if we are, just think of how good it could be. I come from a generation where us as kids, played outside until the street light went on, and then we begged for another half hour in pitch black and didn't worry about getting kidnapped. Or we could walk to the store and get a Slurpee and a bubble gum, and it was 2 miles away. And we were, we still had training wheels on our bikes. I don't know if we'll never get back to that, but I really would love this generation, because I fear for my grandkids. I fear for my grandchildren, and it's an indoctrination right now, what they're going through in schools about changing your gender and doing this, and it's okay to do that. And, we're going to put menstruation products in the boys' bathroom because we don't want to exclude in case anyone identifies as a man, but it's a girl. And if it's a guy that thinks he can still use them. And I'm like, what? I'll tell you what, you spend a week at my house, I'll fix your ass. I'll figure you out, because it's not right. It's just not right. It's not.
Well, I want to close out the fourth quarter on that thought, though. I will tell you this, Coach. My day job involves working directly with the next generation. I got to tell you, a lot of them are now seeing entirely through this, and they are through with it. They're just waiting to get out of school and get away from it. We talk about this generation now being the generation that's going to have the biggest surge in the trades and interest in trades as a more solid way to success, not college. And that's a really good sign, because those are guys, salt of the earth. Those are guys and women that are working in reality as opposed to this unreality. Anything else before we push the
my
button?
kids are that way. My two sons, one's a welder, one's a pipe fitter. My grandkid, I tell them all the time, I said, unless you're playing sports, there's no reason to go to college. There's nothing.
Unless you know what you want to do, and that's the only way you can get
Oh,
those
if you can get your degree and you can do all that.
do your research as to what it is you want to do and see if it's strictly necessary.
Right. But I mean, you can have, it's not, I think people, and the sad thing was in Michigan here right now, we're having this big problem with teachers. We can't get enough teachers. So what they're doing is they're hiring apprentice teachers to come on board, and they'll pay them $25,000, $30,000 a year to be an apprentice teacher and pay for their bachelor's degree so they can become full-time teachers. Right?
Wow.
Nice program. Out of desperation. Because if you'd have done it right the first time and paid the teachers a fair wage, you wouldn't get such radical people in there that, are just trying to pay off student loans.
They're not there for the money. They're there for another reason entirely.
Right. Exactly.
They want access to your kids.
Right. Yeah, they do. And so, anyway, sorry, buddy. Burr's down. So, how many people did we lose on that one?
Well, net, I don't think we really lost any. We've been averaging around 30 viewers the whole time.
Oh, that's nice. Thanks for sticking around, everybody.
Yep. They've dipped out and come back, and we'll reward them by ending the fourth quarter at this point while we still have them watching. We'll be back to wrap this up in just a moment. This is Branded Home Edition. Stick around, folks.
Welcome to Vegas.
Must be that time of the year again, where we work hard and we play hard and eat good pizza.
Hey, gunslingers, come try Matanga's, voted best pizza in San Antonio. We are family and deeply invested in our community. After this game, come find a Matanga's near you. Guns up, slices up.
All right, team, huddle up. Just like in surgery, we need precision and teamwork. Trust me, just like on the field, if we stick to the playbook, we'll achieve excellence.
Coach, are you sure about this?
We've trained for this. We're experts. The San Antonio Gunslingers in South Texas Spine and Surgical Hospital and Outpatient Center, where precision meets performance.
To Branded, the home edition. This will wrap up our 39th episode for this week. It's August 28th. We will be back in action next week, September 4th. Make sure before you go, you have liked and subscribed, like this episode, and of course, subscribe to whichever social media platform you are catching us on, whether that is Twitter, whether that is Facebook, and whether that is YouTube. Coach?
I just want to say one thing real quick before I say my good nights to the babies. Starting next week, we're going to be bringing on players on the show, and current players, new signings, get to meet them, get to know a little bit more about them. Even the guys that we've had last year that you may not have gotten a good opportunity to ask questions to. And we're going to probably just do one a show so you can have plenty of time to ask them questions. We'll do a whole half with the player, even if we talk around other things and get their input. I think that'll be kind of fun. Get to know this. And then I want to also have some staff people on again. I want to have Jen and April and Weston and Jordan and James and Don and Pam, and I got to beg Pam to come on, but I'll beg her, and Stephanie. But I want everyone to know our family, and you know where some of these comments come from, okay, and our and how we feel about certain things. I was reading the comments while you were on break there, and you know, I'm not trying to judge the individual. I'm trying to judge the action, right? If you know, if people would just understand that there's going to come a reckoning one day where you're going to have to answer to God. And I'm not sure God is going to just say it's okay. Okay. And I'm not necessarily talking about the victims. And I'm not talking, and when I say victims, I also mean the mothers that get put in those situations. I'm talking about the people that allow it to happen. To knowingly know a crime's going to be committed, a murder is going to be committed, you're okay with it. And you don't, there's no repercussions from it. I think that's the issue at the end of the day, you know? So anyway, God bless everybody. I sure appreciate y'all listening to an old man rant. And we'll get into more football next week. I'm looking forward to coming back in town the next couple of weeks. We're going to have a big event in September. Well, do you know the date on that? What is it? Is it the 18th? When's that Wednesday that I'm back? That first Wednesday?
I would, let me take a look here.
Come in on the 14th, which is, I think,
the 18th is the Wednesday after you get back. So I'm not sure where we're going to land. Jen hasn't told us. We listen to Jen and we do what Jen says because she's Jen.
Well, no, because Jen's going to have us set up for we're going to be at a location in town, and I'd sure love y'all to come in town if you're able, and we'll do some prizes and we'll do some stuff and we'll have some fun and just some hooting and hollering. And I'd like to get to a point where we can get some of these fans on the show, right? Which would be great if we're at a location and get, you know, like Texas Pete to pop in. And I know he's in Houston, right? If I'm not mistaken. Well, you might have to get in the car, Texas Pete, and come on down. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching us and supporting us and me over the last year. Me and my family truly appreciate you and everything you've done for us. To the Racklers and the Steubings, God love you and thank you for this great opportunity. To the IFL, man, I'm blessed beyond words, and I appreciate everything. So with that, Eli, Mila, and Liliana, time to go to bed. I love you.
This has been Branded for August 28th. And as always, keep your guns up. Good night, everybody.